Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. So we're in a weekend forecast. You can find the video chat here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a little bit and it's above the snow desk. There's also the written version and you can get to that from the buttons at the top of the page. It's going to be an unsettled week coming up, particularly so later on. And I'll let you have a look at that video and see what you think. Later on, further today, got the third video, which will be the 8th Christmas update. That'll be coming up around 7 o'clock this evening on the Christmas updates page. But this is the CFS 6 months look ahead. And we're going to do something a bit different with this one. For one night only, we're going to have the CFS 6 months look ahead versus the Beijing Climate Centre 6 months look ahead. So we're going to bring the two models together and see what both of the models are showing for the next 6 months. It's just for fun. It's just a snapshot of what these models are showing. And we don't normally do this. Normally we would do these two updates separately. But because I had so many updates to get in this month, and we are getting on with the month now, I haven't got time to do the Beijing Climate Centre 6 months look ahead in isolation and the CFS 6 months in isolation. So I thought just for once, just one night only, we combine those two models. Also, I've been asked by somebody if I can explain how you navigate your way through the CFS charts at the CFS website. So I'm going to talk you through all of that as well in this video. It's going to be a long video, this second one, so I hope you find it interesting, something different and unique, and as I hope you find it interesting. Just say that the shop is open, so you've got an Chris Shop 2 at Amazon between now and Chris. Just click the green button that says Gaz Chris Shop. It takes you through to our Chris Shop page. And then from there, the key to it all is to go through the Amazon banners, and by doing that, you will be able to do your shopping as normal. You get to Amazon, you won't need to do anything differently. Just purely that going from Gazworthies to Amazon means that we get ready for the other things that you are buying for Christmas. And a big thank you to everybody for doing that. I'm going to continue to plug away at this shop between now and Christmas, so do keep doing Chris shopping at Amazon via Gazworthies. And yeah, big thank you to everybody for doing that. What else have I got to say? So tomorrow, big day coming up. We've got the 11th and penultimate Winter 2017-18 update. And also tomorrow, unique content. We're going to have a look at the ECMWF and Metro France long range ones. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Let's get on with CFS 6 months. Okay, because we've got a lot to cram in. So, we're going to begin with the 700 millibar height anomaly for December. Now, do keep in mind that the further out we go, the more unreliable this gets. So, month 1, month 2, hopefully, with what we're doing here, has some scientific merit. But as we go further out beyond that, sort of 3, 4, 5, and 6 months away, that is in the realm of speculation. It's in the realm of being just for fun. And it's not a tool to be relied upon, just a snapshot of what models are showing at this point. So, we're beginning with December's 700 millibar high dollar, which is just 1 month away. Hopefully, if everything's working as it should, this ought to be the most reliable of all of this. So we find that got an area of below average heights here to the north of the UK and to the northwest as well. Above average heights are down to the south. Rather like that, and we bring the jet stream through. So this looks a very unsettled looking month in December. It's Atlantic driven. Potentially, this is quite a deep trough that we've got to our north. It's quite storming as well. There could be some cool or cold potential in with this, because I think we are sending the jet stream on something of a northwest-southeast trajectory. It's not a classic cold scenario by any means, but it is a little bit similar to what we've had during November. And November has at times been a fairly coolish month. So unsettled and very zonal signal. It is very westerly, and I reckon there may be a few cold snaps coming through with that at times. So this is how January is looking. This 700 millibar high only from CFS V2 to January. Another very unsettled month is being signalled as well during January. Lots of low pressure below average heights being centred to our north and to our east as well. We've got above average heights again through the Atlantic and extending through there. So looking very similar really from from sort of December to January. The only difference is that we're possibly bringing up the air more from the west-southwesterly direction, as opposed to that northwest to southeast jet stream that may be occurring in December. So I would think very unsettled and wet again for January, but if anything, probably a bit milder compared to December. Less possibility of cold snaps, perhaps. And then we go through to February, rounds off the 3 winter months, and another disaster of a CFS 6 month look out, I'm afraid, if you want to call winter, because that's how pressure is setting up in February. So we've got below average heights again to our north, above average heights to our south, strong westerly zonal looking signal for the winter. So all 3 winter months, December, January, February, are coming out very zonal, which is a mild, wet signal, possibly stormy at times through the course of the winter. The only difference in February is that the above average heights may be a little bit closer to us, which could drag even milder air up from the southwest, so we may have a little taste of spring there, early spring in February. It's get behind the sage a long time again, I'm afraid, in terms of the CFS 6 let's look at if you want cold weather. Now we're up to month 4, so obviously very unreliable now. So this is how month 4 700 millibar height anomalies are looking. Below average heights out to our west. We have got above average heights to our northeast. Quite a bit of blocking up there. But it appears that the below average heights are still driving things for us. So maybe a bit of a battle going on there. You want to see the above average heights strengthened over Scandinavia. But they are there. They would be trying to bring those easterly winds towards us. But actually it looks like it's still the below average heights in the Atlantic that are driving things. So I assume this is going to be forecast by the model anyway to be another mild month. Quite significant difference with the pattern though in March compared to what happens in the 3 winter months. So that's kind of like rolling the dice and seeing where it lands, I think, because it is substantially different in terms of the overall setup. So clearly the model is seeing something happening in March that is very different to what happens in January, February, December, January, February. You see what I mean? So whatever is causing this, the model does see a very, very different long wave pattern setting up in March compared to the winter months. Then we go through to April. We're at month 5 now, so we're in around with just for fun. We've got above average heights to our south, below average heights in the Atlantic. So I assume we're doing something a bit like that, flowing with the jet. That could be a very pleasant month actually in April. Will bring a good deal of dry and probably early spring type conditions. May, month 6, looks like this. So above average heights are pulling out into the Atlantic. That looks a cooler signal to me. I think we'll be doing something like that with the flow and the jet. So there's probably going to be a trough in the 700 millibar flow. So after all of that very mild weather through the winter and into the spring, we see a change just when we don't want it in May, and we go to something that could be quite a lot cooler, with the wind generally coming down from a northwesterly direction. But, of course, being 6 months away, it isn't worth worrying about at all. So we go through to the temperature anomalies and look at this. December is being forecast to be exceptionally mild. Another December to remember, really, for much of Europe, for all the wrong or the right reasons, depending on what you want. But it would be a memorable December because you go for a very warm December compared to average anyway through most parts of the continent. Ireland, the UK, Spain and Portugal actually are the coolest places in continental Europe, albeit we're only talking of being sort of moderately above average as opposed to those very warm temperature anomalies that we have across most of the continent. The reason that's happening, of course, is that we're dragging in west-southwesterly winds from the Atlantic Ocean. We did think there might be a bit of a northwesterly component at times during the course of December, so potentially a few cold snaps, and that may be why the UK and Ireland isn't coming out quite as warm with the temperature anomaly as it is from most parts of Europe. But generally, a very mild December is being signalled. We go through to January, and that continues, really. So another very mild, warm January being predicted through most parts of Europe. Again, the UK Ireland, Spain and France are the coolest places in Europe. It's not saying much, but we are closer to average compared to the exceptionally mild temperatures anomalies that we have across most parts of Europe. February, again, more of the same, another very mild month being signalled in February. Again, in fact, it's even warmer across the UK. In February in terms of the anomaly compared to December and January with those red colours starting to get in as well. All winter months are signalled to be very westerly, southwesterly, zonal, so that's the reason that all 3 winter months are being signalled to be significantly warmer than average. What about precipitation? So, carry on with temperatures, sorry. So we go through to March, and that is also signalled to be milder than average in March. April coming out warmer than average as well. It's a warm fest from tonight's CFS 6 months look ahead. And May, well, this one is a little bit cooler, and we thought that was possible because it may be above average heights are moving more to our west, which leaves us probably with a trough within the 500 millibar flow and pulling down cooler air from the northwest. So we have all of those warmer than average months. The CFS is right, it's going to be warmer than average from December right way through to April. We get to May, the start of the summer months, just when you don't want it, it begins to go cooler than average. But again, keep in mind that's 6 months away, so it's not to be relied upon, it's just for fun. And then we are on to precipitation now. This precipitation is shaping up for December, so it's significantly wetter than average for December across many northern and western parts of Europe. The south and the southeast are coming out drier than average there. So a wet, stormy, mild, zonal December being signalled. And then that continues into January as well. So another very mild month and wet month is being signalled in January across much of northern and western Europe too. It looks like we're going to make up the rainfall deficit that we've had across parts of eastern Britain over the past few months. If this is right, we are in for a deluge in January and February. March isn't, meaning December and January. February isn't quite as wet, and the reason is that heights are rising to our south. We're building up above average heights there, which is pushing the jet stream a bit further north. It means that for much of northern Europe it is still very wet, but for the UK it's turning a little bit drier in February. I think that would be a relief after the deluge of December and January. That's how March is looking, and, well, there's changes for the pattern in March. So we're going drier than average up across Norway, implying the ridging that we've got up there. It's wetter than average down to our south, so obviously we're bringing low pressure through there, and maybe a bit of a southerly tracking jet stream as well. Although the model doesn't show it at all, I think there could be a little bit of cold potential here for March. So the end of the winter and into the start of the spring, that might be when we have a little bit of cold potential going on. Although the model didn't show it at all from its temperature anomaly, but from the 700 millibar height anomaly, from what the precipitation is doing, I reckon March, it's month 4, so it's very unreliable, that March is probably sending the jet stream to our south. It probably has high pressure over Scandinavia, and I would think it's trying to get the winds in to the east. It just depends how far northwards this jet stream is going. But out of all of this, March could be the one that's a little bit of a joker in the pack. Might have some potential for something a bit more wintry then. April, the signals are weak, but we're building up the ridge down to our south. A little bit wetter than average being signalled for the UK. And I think we're trying to get wind up from the southwest in April. So that's a funny one in April. I think probably quite mild, but maybe a bit on the unsettled side. And then May, finally, we're 6 months away now, so it's just for fun. May has near normal precipitation for the UK. It's drier than average, though, for southwestern parts of Europe. So that's how the CFS is looking. What about the Beijing Climate Centre? So now I'm going to show you the next 6 months worth of forecast weather from the Beijing Climate Centre to compare to the CFS model, CFS 6 months look ahead. So we're going to begin back at December with the Beijing Climate Centre. This is the 200 millibar height anomalies, slightly different area in the atmosphere, but you should sort of be able to get the same idea with this. So British Isles is over here in the far right hand corner of the chart as you are looking at it. So this is how the Beijing Climate Centre is seeing December. It has below average heights over to the west of the UK, so it is predicting a unsettled month. It does have some above average heights though up to the north, and the signal to the south of us, the high pressure signal, is weaker during December. So this is an unsettled month. It's a wet month, probably fairly mildish as well, but maybe with slightly more potential for cooler snaps in December compared to the CFS V2. This is January. Now this is much more interesting compared to anything that we saw with the CFS. So we have above average heights in January in over Greenland and to the north of the UK, below average heights over and to the south of the UK, and this will be a cold month. This is pulling the wind in from a northeasterly, possibly even if you go over here, it will possibly even be pulling the winds in from an easterly direction. So this definitely has wintry potential in January. Very, very, very different to what the CFS V2 is showing at month 2, and as I say, there is definitely wintry potential there with that 200 millibar height anomaly in January. This is February and changes again, so it's seeing a pattern for all 3 winter months being really very different. Unlike the CFS, which is broadly all the same right from December to February, very little deviation, the Beijing Climate Centre is showing something different for all 3 winter months. This one has above average heights around Greenland, but they're pushing down more towards the eastern side of America, below average heights over and to the west of the UK. So we're doing something a bit like this with the flow, with the jet stream. It's almost another cold month, actually, in February. But for the north, it might actually be a cold month. For the south, I think we probably are bringing the air up again from the south or southwest. So probably milder in the south. But it's not that far away in February as well from being quite a cold signal. Very different, as I say, from anything that we saw from the CFS V2. We're up to March, month 4, so again, reliability is plunging away. This isn't to be relied upon at all, but March has been signalled to be an anticyclonic month with the Beijing Climate Centre. High pressure, above average heights are in over the top of the UK. That will be bringing a lot of dry weather. Could almost be bringing in quite cool air from the east as well. You will need to get that ridge a little bit further north to do that. But a lot of settled weather and maybe quite chilly, especially at night with some frost. Getting through to April, we're at month 5, so this is in the realm of being just for fun. April has the above average heights going more towards our south and probably starting to pull the air up from the west-southwest. So that is, I would have thought, is turning warmer in April. That's a mainly dry. March, April being seem to be mainly dry here, but probably quite chilly in March and then a lot warmer potentially in April. And then May rounds it all off. This is how May is only 6 months away. It's just for fun. Below average heights to the north, above average heights to the south. Probably quite an unsettled-ish month, and bringing the wind in from the west or sort of northwesterly direction wouldn't be overly mild as well. So out of all of this, actually, funnily enough, month 6 is where both of the models are kind of agreeing to be a fairly disappointing month in May, albeit from slightly different routes. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies for the next 6 months with the Beijing Climate Centre. We're coming back to December. So Beijing Climate Centre is forecasting December to be slightly milder than average. It's not a big deviation. Many parts of Europe are coming out quite warm with temperature anomaly in December. The UK and Ireland coming out ever so slightly above average with those temperatures. Then we go through to January, and look at this. We're coming out with a colder than average month for the UK and Ireland in January. Also, many parts of Europe going a bit cold than average as well. But actually, the UK is possibly coming out with the biggest deviation compared to anywhere across Europe. Quite a significantly colder than average month is being seen over there. If I just run you down, have a look at the scale. So it appears that the scale is going from anything to 1 to 1.5 degrees colder than average there for the UK in January. So that's really quite a cold month that the Beijing Climate Centre is predicting, with no doubt wintry potential coming through as well. February sees a bit of a recovery in the temperature, although again only going to average. Ireland is still forecast to be a little bit colder than average, quite interestingly. Most parts of Europe again are going warmer than average in February. So compared to most parts of Europe, the British Isles does really quite well, and Ireland really quite well for colder than average temperature anomalies this winter, with December and February. I mean, there we are a little bit milder than average across the UK in those 2 months, but compared to most of Europe, we are actually one of the cooler places. And then January, we had that coming out really quite substantially colder than average. Very interesting. Go through to March. I thought March might be a bit of a cold month. Actually, the model is going for a warmer than average month in March. It would really depend on the exact position of that high pressure that it's seeing. If that high pressure brings in any sort of easterly in March, that's going to be cold, because the continent, despite the fact that it's going for a mild and average winter, overall, these are anomalies, remember. So if the winds are coming in from the east in March, it would be colder than average. The model is seeing the ridge and is seeing the high pressure, and it's thinking that high pressure translates back to above average temperatures. But it's not always that straightforward, especially in the months of the sort of winter and early spring. Those ridges can actually be surprisingly cold. Now, April does go warmer than average, and I agree with that. Based on the 200 millibar height anomaly, we expect a warmer than average April. Nice spring month coming through there. And then May, I thought May might be a bit cooler, but actually the model is going for above average temperatures in May as well. So after what is a fairly chilly winter, particularly focused around a cold January, we get to spring. We actually have quite a warmish spring coming up then. Finally, just have a look at precipitation from Beijing Climate Centre. So December is coming out wetter than average, so near normal with temperatures, a little bit milder than average, and wet is the signal for December. January, so look at this, again, indicative of the blocking. Look how dry it is up around Greenland and Iceland. That's where it's seeing the high pressure to be sitting up there, most definitely. The UK, so Scotland and Northern Ireland are coming out a bit drier than average. England and Wales still a little bit wetter than average, and with a cold month, there would be potential for some of this precipitation to be snow in January. Very interesting month being signalled by the Beijing Climate Centre for January. February comes out a bit wetter than average for England and Wales, a bit drier than average for Scotland. We still have a lot of dry weather going on, notice, around Greenland and down to Iceland. I don't think February is at all far from being a substantially cold month as well. So only very slight adjustments here would mean the Beijing Climate Centre would be going for a cold January and a cold February as well. Very interesting. Moving through to March, we're at month 4 now, so just for fun, but March is coming out drier than average, which you would expect, again, with high pressure to be dominating. Notice a complete flip around across Greenland and close to Iceland. It's going wetter than average there, telling us that there is a big change in the overall weather pattern taking place from the winter months through to spring. April, that's coming out drier than average across many parts of the UK and Europe as well. And then May, I should say, month 6, just the third, May comes out a little bit on the drier than average side, but probably a slightly more unsettled signal overall. I think generally the model is seeing quite a cool and unsettled winter and then a fairly dry and warm spring. That seems to be the way the model is going. At odds with CFS v2, CFS is going for a winter deluge and exceptionally mild through December to February. The mild fetch just goes on then into the spring as well. It just turns a little bit drier as we get through into the spring months. Talking of CFS, I promised that I'd talk you through how to navigate the CFS website. So I'm going to talk you through what you have to do to get these charts up for yourself. Never done this before. Hope this demonstration goes okay. So I'm going to Gav's Weathervids. This is the homepage of gavsweathervids.com. You want to select links. That button just there. That takes you through to our links page. It says useful links and websites. You scroll down. There's loads of different websites to have a look at there, but you want to get to this, what we're doing tonight or today, you want to get to long range charts and then go through those long range charts. You'll see CFS long range charts. You want to click that link. So you go from CFS long range charts at Gav's Weathervids links page to the seasonal climate forecast from CFS v2. This is from NOAA, Climate Prediction Center, National Weather Service. Scroll down. And these are all the links that take you to all of the charts. Now, it's very difficult to navigate at this point. So, I'm going to show you the mean monthly spatial anomalies. Carry on scrolling down, and what you have then is a table, SST, precipitation, to T, 2M temperatures, and so on all the way down. Now, for us in Europe and in the UK, you want to go down to here. Well, let's first of all assume you want to see the 700 millibar height anomaly. So you want to see how the pressure is shaping up, first of all. Now, this just here, E1, E2, E3, these are the charts that are going from a fair way back in terms of E1 to the latest charts in terms of E3. So if you want to see the latest charts, then you go, in terms of 700 millibar heights, you go to the 700 millibar height part of the table, you select E3. Remember, E2, E1, they'll take you to charts from a while back. So select E3. That brings you up with the very latest terms of the next 6 months worth of 700 millibar height anomaly. So for example, that's December. We just had a look at it. That's CFS v2 December chart, the very latest one. This just here is February, for example. We just had a look at that as well in the CFS section of this 6 month look ahead video, and so on. That's May, 6 months ahead. They're the very latest charts for the next 6 months, and it's always E3 link that you need to select. Same for temperatures. So Europe, T2M temperatures. You want to select E3 again, and that brings up the latest 6 months worth of temperature. So for example, that's December's latest temperature anomaly from CFS v2. That's April's latest temperature anomaly from the CFS v2, and so on. That's February, their latest temperature anomaly from CFS v2. It's always E3 that you want to select. This is precipitation for Europe. Again, December there, and April there, for example. If you was to select E1, let's select E1, you would still get the same 6 months worth of charts, the next 6 months, if you like, so December, January, February, March, April, May, but these will be from further ago. So, for example, December, this was generated back in October. I'll just highlight this for you. This was generated back in October, this precipitation anomaly chart for December, from the 18th to the 27th of October. So these dates are important. They tell you how recent the charts are, how recently they were generated, how recent the data is that you are looking at. But essentially, you don't need to go by the dates, because if you just stick all the time to E3, whichever link you're looking at, whichever sort of element you want to see, whether it's temperature or precipitation or 700 millibar heights or 200 millibar heights, sea surface temperature anomalies, whatever you want to see, always if you select E3, you will get the latest charts, the latest data up. By the way, these brackets, where we've got data in brackets just here, not sure what they do. They're a new addition. And I have clicked that recently, and what we get then is that we download sort of a link. So I assume you download data, if you like, with the brackets data links. I wouldn't get involved with doing that. Just stick to E3 all the time, and you will get the charts up. For the latest charts up, CFS V2. And up here, these are the monthly mean anomalies. These are the 3 monthly mean anomalies. So same thing, you just, again, go to E3, you'll get the next 3 months worth of, the latest 3 months worth of temperature anomalies, for example. So it's always E3 that you want to have a look at these charts for yourself. Hope that's explained how to navigate the CFS website. It is a very, very difficult website to navigate. So hope that little instruction tutorial has helped you with that. Right, 30 minutes, so it's been a very long video, sorry about that, but had a lot to cram in, putting the 2 models together. I don't think we'll do this again, it's just a one-off, really putting these 2 long-range models together, see what they're showing. I doubt we will do this again in the near future anyway. Right, so that's it for today's second video. 7 o'clock this evening, we're going to have the Christmas update. So it's video after video for you today. We've got the 8th Christmas update coming up on the Christmas updates and forecast page. Tomorrow, big day. It's the 11th and penultimate Winter 2017-18 update. Also, we'll be having a look at the long-range ECMWF and Meteo France models, see what they're showing for the winter. That's brand new and exclusive content for you tomorrow afternoon. Before that, we've got the 11th and penultimate winter update. That's all now. Thanks for watching.